Hello everybody, Mitzi Cruz here, host of Lincoln Live. Just want to wish you all a happy new year. And today we are excited to be here live with Aaron Zambrana. And Aaron is the owner and operator of A to Z Chimney, Sweep, and Window Screen Services. So Aaron, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful to actually be here. This is really cool.
Thank you, and thanks for bearing with us. This is actually take 3 if you guys are paying attention at all and start and stop. Anyway, bear with us. But anyway, can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My wife and I live here in Lincoln. We've been here for 18 years now and love the community. Reminds me a lot of Clovis, where I grew up as a kid. We're on 5 acres out in the country, and we service the greater Sacramento area with our little chimney sweeping business that we've been running forever. So, yeah.
So, you know what? I'm all about stories. So, can you tell us what got you started in the business?
Well, aside from the fact I'm hopelessly unemployable, that's why I'm self-employed. People often ask me, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm self-unemployed, and I work really hard. The great thing about being self-employed is you only have to work half days. Your first 12 hours or the second 12 hours is totally your decision. But I was in college going to Sac State with my wife. We were both in school and just struggling to make ends meet, and started out cleaning windows, going door to door, knocking on people's houses and leaving little flyers asking if I can clean their windows, just to try to keep from having to take out loans to get through school. And that turned into, well, I can make a little extra cash by fixing broken window screens while I'm here. And that turned into, well, I can actually make more money doing window screens than I can doing window cleaning, so why don't I just do that full time? So I did that the first summer, and that first summer we invested everything we had into buying the screen materials and the framing, and building a little trailer with a borrowed welder in the garage, and hauling it around with a little tiny truck, and just doing everything we could to make ends meet. And it went really well the first summer. But then, when the first winter came, I soon realized that I had not realized one fatal issue, and that is the fact that window screens is a very seasonal business.
Sure.
And there's no way to make a living. You can't give screens away in the winter because nobody wants to open the window when it's cold outside. So here I am, a business major at Sac State. You'd think that I would have figured that out before we made that leap, but I didn't. And so basically I called a friend of mine who worked out of Elk Grove, and he also happened to be a window screen guy. And he had mentored me and been really kind to me, showed me some of the ropes with the screen business that summer. And I said, Rodney, I'm desperate. I'm dying 1,000 financial deaths. How do you eat in the winter? And he says, well, we sweep chimneys. And I said, really? I said, is it hard? He goes, well, not really. You just need to know what you're doing.
Sure.
I said, great. Would you mind showing me? He goes, sure. So I went down there and stood over his shoulder for a day and learned everything there was to know about sweeping chimneys. And come to find out that he really didn't know what he was doing either. And it was the blind leading the blind. But needless to say, long story short, since that time, we bought a used set of equipment and really started, just, again, door to door, knocking on doors, leaving flyers, and pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps, making it work and paying bills. And started going to schools and getting certifications from across the country for the chimney trade. And we've been doing that very well for, like I said, 18 years now. So it's been cool.
See, that's awesome. And that's exactly why I ask for stories, because I've never heard that story, but that is a great story. Yeah. That's really awesome. So how long have you guys been here in Lincoln?
18 years now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like everything happened at once.
Well, how long have we been in Lincoln, honey?
17 years.
17 years. So
okay.
we've been 17 years, and I've been in business for about 20 years.
22 years.
22 years.
Got it.
It's been a long time. Who keeps track?
I know. The same thing. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's great. And is the majority of your customer base here in Lincoln, or?
Oh, no. No, I'd say probably maybe 25% of our customer base is here in Lincoln, but we started many years before we moved here, but we knew that the growth curve was coming up Highway 65,
right.
And we knew that, you know, our window screen business, which is really our main business,
okay.
Thrives off of new construction because they don't have any trees yet, and the sun's blasting down on them. And many people want security doors for the big front tall doors you can't get normal doors for. They're all custom, or they need sunscreens to keep the heat from blasting in because they're exposed to the sun without any trees. So that's really why we moved out here to begin with. But we service the greater Sacramento area. So
got it. excuse me, and do you guys also do those solar screens?
Yes, yeah, the dark and light colored shade screens, that's our bread and butter in the summer. So if it's hot and you're paying way too much for utility bills, we're your guys. If you want to keep out the bugs and the thugs, then we have a full line of security doors and window security screens. We've even got sliding security doors for the back, sliding glass doors. So if you want to get the breeze without the bugs or the sun without the heat, we're the guys.
That's awesome. Now, can you keep teenagers in the home with the...
We haven't perfected that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if some parents would ask for that.
That's funny. Okay, so tell us about the chimney sweep. Now, just to kind of preface, guys, we actually had our scheduler, Lucia, actually had A to Z out a couple days ago. And so we took short snippets of a video, essentially of a 2-hour process that included, preparing her home for the chimney sweep, also getting the chimney sweep completed in a manner where all of the dust particles, all of the soot, everything is contained. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'll let him tell you about it. But we should have that video up at some point within the next day or so. Just try to piece it all together and get it completed.
Sure.
So, can you tell us about the process?
Absolutely. So that's a big question a lot of people have, Mitzi, is like, how do I keep dust and soot from getting inside my house? We show up and it's hilarious because some people are so nervous that they've got sheets and tarps over everything inside the room as we show up. It's like it's not necessary. We're very good at what we do. It's hard to make a living when you have to pay for carpet and upholstery cleaning everywhere you go. So
right.
Needless to say, we've got some extraordinary precautionary measures we take to make sure not a speck of soot is left in the home after we're done. In fact, it's usually cleaner after we leave than it was before we got there. But we start with laying not only a big 6 by 8 foot black tarp right in front of the fireplace where we're working, but we also put hall runners everywhere that we walk, because if you're standing on that black tarp working and you get soot on your feet, you don't want to track it onto the carpet after you walk in and out of the house.
Right.
So we lay hall runners everywhere that we work. We have these very specialized Rovac chimney clean vacuums made specifically for chimney sweeping. They're about $3,500 a piece, so
wow.
They're a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they're HEPA filters, and they filter down past 0.5 microns, so there's not a speck of soot coming into the room as we work. And that thing runs the entire time that we sweep the chimney. Sometimes we sweep the chimney from the bottom up. Other times we sweep the chimney from the top down, like traditional Mary Poppins style. But needless to say, when we're done, there won't be a speck of soot in the house. Yep.
So, out of curiosity, who should pay attention to making sure that their chimney is clean and ready to go? Like, is there a number of years or frequency of use, or
Sure.
new homeowners? What do you suggest?
Well, really, the people who want to make sure they don't get a lump of coal in their stocking for Christmas should certainly be looking at getting the chimney swept, because Santa gets really dirty if it's coming down a dirty chimney, and Mrs. Claus, she gets upset if she has to clean soot off his suit. So you've got to make sure you keep Santa clean. So if Santa's coming pretty soon and you got little kids, you're going to want to make sure that you get it swept. But realistically, that's a joke. Anybody who's burning wood should be getting it swept on a fairly regular basis. The Chimney Safety Institute of America, which is a nonprofit organization, it's a nationwide organization, recommends that it be inspected annually and cleaned as necessary.
Oh, wow.
So because a lot of things aside from soot buildup, creosote buildup can happen. Birds can build their nests, squirrels can build nests, all kinds of things can happen. Blockages can occur because of leaves falling. All kinds of things can happen to a chimney. You'd never know it. We've been into homes where people had never once used the chimney once, and they were the original owners of the house 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were really surprised to find that it was full of debris. Oh. And they're like, had they sold the house and then turned around and given it to the new owners, they would have had a real mess on their hands had they tried to light a fire. And they were upset that they even had to pay for the inspection because they'd never used it. So it saved somebody. But basically, it should be swept about every cord of wood that you burn in the fireplace. And a cord of wood is a pretty big amount.
Yeah.
It's a stack of wood 4 feet wide by 4 feet tall by 8 feet long. Now, if you're a casual wood burner and you burn just like Christmas and New Year's, maybe 1 or 2 nights throughout the whole winter, realistically, you're not going to build up enough soot to have it swept every year. It's going to be kind of a waste of your money.
Yeah.
Most people actually need to have it swept maybe every 4 or 5 years here in this area because the winters are pretty short and pretty mild. So California, it's not like Dakota where it's minus 8 months of the year.
Right.
But if you are a wood burner like we are in our home, we use wood stove, and we use that for our primary source of heat. So we're always burning it during the winter. We definitely go through at least a quart of wood or more during the winter, so we have it swept every winter. So it really depends on how much you're using it. And another thing people don't know about is, well, I've got a gas fireplace. I don't need to have that thing swept.
Right.
Well, they're right. The actual flue pipe or the vent for the gas fireplace doesn't need to be swept. But if you open the owner's manual that came with the house, the manufacturer of the gas fireplace tells you very specifically requires annual maintenance.
Right.
Now, we don't know, why would you want to maintain a gas fireplace? There's nothing dirty in that thing. Well, a lot of these direct vent units are sucking air into the fireplace from the outside that's unfiltered. It brings with it all kinds of dirt, dust, pet hair, all kinds of garbage. And when you open up the components to get to all the parts inside these gas fireplaces, it's full of dirt and lint and all kinds of nasty stuff. So it causes the fireplace to break much faster.
Oh.
So when you drive your car, it's like driving your car without ever changing the oil. Sure, it'll run, but it'll break in 40,000, 50,000 miles if you don't change that oil.
Right.
So it's like a regular oil change for your gas fire. So gas fireplace owners, be aware, you should be having it serviced on a regular basis as well.
You know what? That's good to know because we have a gas fireplace. So, yeah. So a couple questions. I do want to open it up for questions.
Janet Vorse is watching with us. She says, they don't have a chimney, but can he come clean the dust out of my house?
You know, there's a lot of stories being in business for 20 plus years. And I have stories of cleaning dust out of people's house, but that was only after I created the dust because my vacuum failed. Oh, it was awful. I was sweeping a chimney and sweeping and going down, and I turned around and looked over my shoulder back behind myself into the room, and the whole room is full of a cloud of soot. And my heart just sank, and I just knew that this was going to be a big mess, and it was. And so, of course, it happens, stuff happens. Well, should I say soot happens? And it happened to me, and it doesn't happen anymore because of the newer equipment that we have all these years later. Back then, I was working on an old used set of equipment that, was no good. But now it's much better, and we haven't done that in a long, long, long time. But if it does happen, we have insurance, and we'll get it all cleaned up.
Good to know.
And then Catherine Tip says, hey, Aaron, way to go.
Hey, Catherine, how you doing?
And, Janet said hi, and we have a few shares from Terry and Janet.
Cool.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Janet. And thank you guys for watching. So quick question. So number one, what does a chimney sweep run? What does the gas fireplace service run? And what does a chimney inspection run?
Sure. So a chimney sweeping will run anywhere from $220 on up to $450 to $500, and sometimes even more. And the reason for that is a standard open-face fireplace is around $220 to sweep. But if we have like a heavy-duty cast iron wood stove insert pushed into there, and we have to remove that 400 or 500 pound chunk of steel to sweep it and then put it all back together, it's going to be significantly more because there's much more work and time.
Of course.
If we show up and it's a house in Granite Bay where the roof is that steep, then we've got to set up rigging with ropes and climbing harnesses and scaffolding and all that kind of stuff to do it safely, to make sure that my guys come home safe at the end of the day. And so there's going to be added costs for that. But typically between $220 and $500 is your average. But usually it's right around $220 to $300 is the average.
So how about a chimney inspection? Okay.
So chimney inspection alone, if we show up to the house and the chimney is not dirty, we'll be honest with you. And we'll say, hey, you know what? Awesome. I don't have to do all the work to sweep it, so my guys are excited for that. And they'll just charge you for an inspection. It's typically $180 for the inspection. And the inspection, I must say, is really what most people don't realize is that is the most critical component of the chimney sweeping process. There's a lot of chuck in the trucks, I call them, people without any training, what I was at one time, a long time ago, who don't take the initiative to get the additional training, spend the extra money to go to school, and it really, let's be honest, it's not that hard to run a brush up and down a flue, right? We call it a swab job. But when you get a swab job from a chuck in a truck and he does not know what he's doing as far as building code or proper safety stuff, or he doesn't have the right equipment to inspect it, then he's really doing the customer a disservice. You want somebody who can not only sweep the creosote out of the system, but also who can say, look, this is definitely safe or it's not safe, and here's why. So with all of our guys, all of my technicians have been certified through the Chimney Safety Institute of America, and it's a big deal. Most of these guys don't pass the test the first time. it's a big test. It's not just learning how to sweep a chimney, but it's learning building codes, learning what to look for if a chimney fire has occurred, learning what to look for if the chimney was not built properly. In fact, we're one of the only companies I'm aware of that after we're done sweeping an open face fireplace, every single sweeping job, we'll take a very expensive closed circuit camera and put it up inside the flue, and we inspect every single flue joint one at a time up inside the chimney, and the homeowner can watch as they're sitting next to us on the hearth. We've got a little TV screen set up so they can see. So if there's holes or cracks that are dangerous to them, they're going to know it, and they don't have to take our word for it. So most companies, they just shine a flashlight down, and if you can't see it with a flashlight, you're not going to see it, and it's very difficult to see little cracks and holes with just a flashlight. In fact, it's not impossible.
Wow.
So Jenna asked, with the fire/burn restrictions in the county, have you noticed a change in business?
Yes. Yeah, that was another rough story. I mean, financially, again, I've died 1,000 deaths a couple times, where you're just, starving to make the bills meet. And when the EPA came down and started the Spare the Air campaigns, a lot of people, they want to do the right thing. And so they stopped burning, which was admirable. But it hurt my business, of course. And a lot of times if they had repairs that were needed, big repairs, and there was several $1,000s, a lot of people would throw their hands up and say, I can't burn half the time anyways because, it's just most of the time it's Spare the Air. So I'm just going to put some candles in there. So that really hurt our business. What most people don't realize is, number one, that's only in Sacramento County. That's not Placer County, where a good chunk of our customers are. So the Spare the Air campaigns are not applicable to this particular area, number one. Number two, because of that, because we saw a dramatic drop in business and revenues, we had to shift gears and get creative and think, how can we make it through? That's the American way of just finding a different way and reinventing yourself.
That's right.
And so we started servicing gas fireplaces. I had never touched a gas fireplace prior to, didn't want to, was scared of them. And so I went back to school and we learned how to do it. And at this point, we get tons of referrals from plumbers, HVAC companies, other stove shops where if they didn't sell or install that gas fireplace, they'll refer them to us. So we have a ton of business coming in because we're one of the few companies that actually services all makes and models of gas fireplaces. And that's a huge part of our revenue stream at this point. When you flip the wall switch and the gas fireplace doesn't work anymore, we're the guys to call. When you're selling or listing a house and it doesn't work, we're the guys you call.
That's good to know. And so I know I've sold a couple houses where the little key deal is missing. So, I mean, can you help with that too, or point us in the right direction? Or?
Yep, those are easily readily available at the plumbing department down at Home Depot or Lowe's for $3 or $4. Cheap fix.
Okay, so I also understand that you can help homeowners to protect their home in another way, and that is cleaning out the dryer vents, right?
Correct, yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Okay, so anybody who has a good sense of humor, you've got to log on to our website, a2zchimneys.com. Click on dryer vent cleaning and watch the video about poor Mr. Dryer, who has to go to Dr. Z, the dryer vent proctologist, because his vent's all backed up and he's feeling quite nasty. The fact of the matter is, as I wrote that script to do that little infomercial, my wife was sitting in bed. I'm so excited to show it to her because this is going to be an epic commercial, right?
Right.
And she's reading the script, and she reads and reads and reads, and I'm hanging on the edge of my seat like, well, what do you think? She finally finishes it. She shuts the script. She looks up and she goes, "You are not seriously going to do this, are you?" I said, "Yes, we are," because it's funny. And so we actually, dryer vent cleaning is a big deal. More home fires happen from dirty dryer vents than actually dirty chimneys. A lot of people don't know that, but in the old days, the washer and dryer was put outside in the garage, which meant that dryer, once the back of the clothes dryer with that flexible hose hooked to the wall, the section inside the wall was only like 4 to 6 inches, so it was no big deal. The dryer would vent right to the outside, easy peasy, right?
Sure.
Well, in the last 25 years, homeowners started designing homes with the washer and dryers inside the house in a laundry room type area because, heaven forbid, who can do laundry out in the hot and cold garage? We must do it in the air-conditioned space because it's too miserable outside. So with the washer and dryers inside, the unintentional consequence was the fact that instead of a 6-inch vent right to the outside wall, now the washer and dryer is located right in the middle of the house, and it's not up against an exterior wall anymore.
Right.
So the dryer, once it hooks to the wall, there's a vent pipe inside the wall stud cavity, usually going straight up to the roof or down, and it's instead of 6 inches, it's now 15 to 20 feet or more. And every time you do a load of laundry, even though you're cleaning the lint screen every time, people don't know, but microscopic particles of lint are getting right past the lint screen and deposited themselves inside the vent, inside the wall. And you can't get to that without specialized tools. So we clean those. That's a big part of what we do.
And that was my next question because, I actually bought one of those rainbow vacuums a long time ago. It was funny, too, because the sales guy, he was real good.
Sure.
I had no carpet in my house. My husband pointed that out when he got home.
But think of all the pennies you could suck up off the floor.
I was really excited about the air filter feature of the rainbow. Anyway, long story short, we've got this rainbow.
Awesome.
And so it's got attachments, and that was one of the things the gentleman talked to me about was you can just put it in your dryer vent. So that's not really doing the job.
No.
Okay.
If anything, it just vacuums a very small section inside the dryer cabinet itself.
Sure.
But it's not getting inside the walls behind the dryer, not one iota. In fact, that lint is really sticky. And you would laugh if you said, you know what, I'm going to barbecue, but before I barbecue, I'm going to scrub the barbecue grill off with my rainbow vacuum. And you try to vacuum up. Well, that stuff is stuck to the grill.
Right.
How do you clean a grill? With a wire brush, right?
Right.
Well, we use exactly the same kind of process with the dryer vent because that lint is sticky like paper mache and it dries itself to the walls. You can't get it off with just blowing air or sucking air past it. You've got to mechanically scrub it just like you're sweeping a chimney.
So what's that going to run me?
$180 is the typical price.
Got it.
If you have a stackable washer and dryer where they're one on top of another, it's going to be a bit more. If they are on a shared pedestal, it'll be a little bit more. Individual pedestals, no big deal, but shared pedestal with washer and dryer both on the pedestal, it'll be a little bit more.
Now, yes.
I'm just going to say, Paul and Lisa, say what's up.
Hey,
Hi.
Hatton's, how you doing?
Yeah.
Edwin Guerrero says, how often should you clean your dryer vent?
That's another depends question. So
I was going to say, there's 8 people in my home, so I'm figuring it's probably going to be a little bit more often than someone with 2 or 3.
And Jenna just said Mitzi may need her lint screen cleaned.
This is true.
Does somebody not clean their lint screen between loads?
No. Well, keep in mind, there's six of the people that live in my home are children, or teenagers, or whatever. But in any case, they're supposed to be doing it, but, I've never done it professionally.
So that's a great question. How often should I have the dryer vent cleaned? Well, if your vent is really short, like what I described, where it vents right to the outside, it breaks my heart when people call us and they have one of those. We show up, it's like there's nothing to do. And there's a service call fee to have us come out and show up.
Right.
So we have to charge them for that. But they could easily clean it themselves just by pulling it back, disconnecting the flexible hose, taking it outside, cleaning it, putting it back. It's easy. But if they do have one of the really long ones and they are like an empty nester in Sun City, Lincoln, realistically, those people hardly do any laundry. So they're going to be doing it probably every 4 to 6 years.
Oh, nice.
If you are the person that has 5 or 6 kids at home and you're doing 3 or 4 loads a day, probably every 1 to 2 years for sure.
Okay.
And it also depends on some other things too. Are you using a lot of fabric softeners? Are you using dryer sheets? Some of them create a much stickier lint, so it builds up faster. Sometimes people don't know this, but if you take the lint screen out of your dryer, you take the lint off, and you take it and you hold it underneath the faucet in your sink, and you turn water on, guess what?
What?
A lot of times the water won't pass through because there is a film from your dryer sheets and from your fabric softener that film forms that doesn't allow air or water to pass through very well. So if you want to increase the efficiency of your dryer, take that screen out and clean it with a brush and soapy Palmolive dish soap once in a while.
Wow.
And that'll help increase the efficiency of the dryer. So there's little tips and tricks that you can do.
Yeah.
Funniest thing ever happened with me, well, I got a lot of funny dryer vent dryer vent stories, but we showed up to a house one time and she had a daycare and she couldn't figure out why the heck her dryer wasn't working. And so we, brushed it, and I was from the outside, and I was trying to brush, and I couldn't get the brush past a certain point, so I knew there was something blocking inside there. And so I went inside and went from the other inside the house trying to go, and it was hitting blockage. I knew there was something in there, so I hooked my blower inside the house up to the wall and started blowing stuff to the outside. And sure enough, I go outside and there's no air blowing out of the little vent hood right near the ground. I'm like, what the heck? So I reached my hand up inside that vent hood and I felt something kind of squishy and plasticky, and I pulled it out. It was one of those little colored balls, like, in the Chuck E. Cheese's ball pit kind of thing. Well, that's interesting. And I looked down and the air still wasn't coming out. So I reached up and grabbed another and another and another and another. It was like 12 balls that some kid from her daycare stuffed up inside there. So that was a fun story. Another time, it was a brand new house, called us out. House was not even 6 months old, and the lady was complaining because the dryer wasn't working. Well, if your dryer is taking a long time to dry, that's one of the dead giveaways that the vent is blocked with a lint or something else.
Sure.
And So we went out there, and I was like, there's no way this is clogged. It's only 6 months old. It's just her and her husband. There's no way. So I ran my brush and felt a blockage once again. From the inside and outside, I couldn't get past it. We could not figure out what it was. Finally, we had to cut the wall open, and some construction worker thought it would be cute to stick a beer can inside the vent and then put it all together.
How
so
tacky.
You just never know what you're going to find in a vent. There's all kinds of different stuff out there.
Yeah. Wow. That's awful.
Yeah.
That's horrible. My goodness. Now, so do you guys ever do specials, like seasonal specials or regular maintenance plans, or?
Not really at this time. We are a very small outfit. We've only got 4 or 5 trucks at this point, and unfortunately, because we're really, I don't want to brag, but we're really good at what we do.
Yeah.
If you check out our online reviews, it'll tell you everything you need to know. We just passed over 1,050 online reviews, and for a little company with less than 12 employees, that's pretty phenomenal. We're really proud about that because we do good work.
That's right.
But the other edge of that sword is the fact that we're often booked 3 to 4 weeks out or longer. And so really we don't have to offer specials to get the business in the door. We're just really good, and we'll take great care of you. I promise you we're worth the wait. Yeah. But we haven't run specials in a while.
No, and that totally makes sense because, as an entrepreneur, business owner, I'm right there with you. I totally get it.
We just charge a fair price of what we need to make and nothing more.
That's right. So, gosh, I had a couple other questions for you. One of the things I was going to ask is how many technicians do you have, and are you looking forward to growing, or are you, where are you at as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, so for many, many, many years, anybody who reads business books, I'm big into personal growth and personal development. I read a lot of business books, and The E-Myth by Michael Gerber was one of the first real business books I read, and he described the technician who had an entrepreneurial seizure, who thought he was a business owner. He worked for somebody else, he learned how to do the trade, and then he decides, why am I working for this schmuck? I can do my own thing, I can do it better. So he leaves that company and he starts his own business, only knowing how to do the trade, not knowing how to run a business.
That's right.
And that was me for a long, long time. It hasn't been but the last 4 or 5 years where I've really started to focus on not just the trade stuff, I've kind of got that dialed, but learning how to run and lead an operation and organization of people, become a leader of leaders. And I'm still not perfect yet, but we are definitely on a path for growth. We really want to grow pretty aggressively over the next 5 to 10 years. We've got some pretty big goals that we're going for, and we're trying to add a truck or 2 a year as we go forward from this point. So it hurts me to my soul when people call in and they've got an emergency where the dryer stopped working and I can't get to them, and I have to refer them to somebody else. I know we can do it better. It's just we don't have the capacity or manpower at this point. So we're looking to solve that, but it takes money and time. We try to do it with cash. We don't do any real loans or anything. So we've been growing very slowly because we're not going to blow it up. I had friends of mine who went out of business when the 2006 crisis hit because they were leveraged with a lot of debt, and that scares me. I don't want to do that. So just slow, small, steady, one step in front of the other.
So with the guys that you have now, I'm guessing a lot of them have been with you for years. So if somebody's watching and they might know of somebody looking for work, is that an opportunity that they might call you and have a conversation?
Yep. They got to be good with their hands. They have to not be afraid of getting up on ladders or roofs, obviously. Some type of construction experience and ability to read a tape measure and work with power tools would be necessary. But yes, for sure, because we are going to be hiring sometime in the next month or two for our next field technician.
Oh, good.
Yeah, if you know somebody who is not happy where they're at, who is a good worker, I'd love to talk to them.
Perfect. And now we did go ahead and in your commercial and post your contact information, but just for those who may not have seen it yet, why don't you tell everybody your phone number and we'll go ahead and post it.
Sure, it's A to Z window screens and chimney sweep. It's A to Z screens.com. That's ATOZ screens.com or A to Z chimneys.com. The phone number at the office is 916-408-2496. And give us a call. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Perfect. Do we have any other questions? Or
so Janet says, great tips. Greg Hansen said, shared, great segment.
Thanks, Greg.
Gail Salazar have used this company and they are awesome.
Thanks, Gail.
And then Dana Del Rey, she said that you were just at their house replacing her fireplace.
Oh.
So you guys replace
We can, yes. When there's anything to do with a repair, major or minor, we can do it. We can pull the whole fireplace out and replace it. We can tear bricks down and rebuild them. I mean, that's a big part of our business. The very small part of it is actually going out and doing the sweeping and inspections.
Yeah.
But, if there are issues, the maintenance issues or safety issues, we're certainly going to let you know, and some people like to have us do the work. So that's a big part of our business.
So do you coordinate with insurance companies?
Yes. Yeah, if you have a sudden occurrence event such as a chimney fire, a lightning strike, a hurricane, or some drunk guy ran into the side of the house and hit your chimney, we can help you.
Well, that was
happened.
my brother. That's funny. All right. Well, I want to make sure that we're getting everyone's questions answered, and if you have any additional questions, definitely ask them now. But I do want to go ahead and wrap up with another story, because you are an awesome storyteller.
Thank you.
And anything that jumps out over the years, maybe funny, concerning, anything that would be helpful to our audience?
There's so many ridiculous stories. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about being in business, is it's just never the same thing. There's always something different. One time I was sweeping a chimney for a vacant house. It was a rental house, and it was completely vacant. And I went in there, and the property management company, we work with a lot of property management companies, hired us to come in, and it was just one of the things they were doing to get ready for the new renters. And we always shine a flashlight and look up inside the flue before we put our brush up there. And as I looked up the flue, there was a Walmart plastic bag duct taped up inside the chimney.
Oh.
I said, that's interesting. So I pulled it down and opened it up, and there was a handgun in there, a loaded handgun.
Oh my gosh.
Turns out the guy who was the previous occupant was currently in jail for selling drugs.
Yeah.
And that was one of the little many treasures he left throughout the house. So that was an interesting story. I've also been to a house where they called us because the chimney was smoking like crazy on them.
Yeah.
And I shined a flashlight down, and I didn't see anything apparent. I shined the flashlight up, didn't see anything apparent. And then I went to go brush it, and I hit a blockage. I thought, that's strange. And it was only like 5 or 6 feet down into the chimney. So I pulled the brush out and looked again. There was nothing. That's really weird. And so then I started looking really close. Somebody, when they had built the chimney, and nobody had ever burned a single fire in that thing ever.
Yeah.
Somebody apparently didn't pay the masonry contractor. I guess the builder didn't pay the masonry contractor, and he got ticked and put a single pane glass inside the chimney, so you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But smoke would never go out, so it was a dirty little trick he did there. So, stories! I've got stories. So many stories. I can go on forever. There's so many stories, but yeah, I mean, just know that you really want to make sure you're being safe when you're burning the chimney. That you don't want fire in the middle of your house is nothing to mess with.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of people in the country that sweep their own chimneys, and that's great. But once in a while, it would be smart just to get a little cheap fire insurance and have somebody come out here who knows what they're looking for to tell you if everything's okay. So that's my plug.
And don't hide guns in the chimney. That just sounds so dangerous.
Don't hide guns in the chimney. They're no good to you there if somebody breaks in. You should hide them under your mattress.
Right, yeah. They've got to be accessible. That's awful. So do we have any other questions, comments, anything from the audience?
Wendy says, excellent company and amazing people.
Hey, Wendy. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I want to make one announcement really fast. I wanted to just mention to you guys that we're adding an additional segment on Lincoln Live, and it's going to contain fun facts about Lincoln, about the history, just different things that are going on, and just one more tool in helping to get the objective of this show out to you guys, which is just preserving the culture and the heritage of Lincoln as we continue to grow and just really celebrate what makes Lincoln so special. So more to come on that. But anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, Aaron, and thanks for your time and inviting us into your home, and it's been great. Mitzi, you're awesome. I got to tell you, we love Lincoln. We love this place. It's like, it reminds me a lot of my childhood in Clovis. I love going to the store and seeing 3 or 4 people and I love going to the Lincoln Christmas parade or the 4th of July parade, and it's just an idyllic little place to raise kids and be, and we just love Lincoln, and I'm really glad that you're doing this to help promote the little guys like us, because we don't have a lot of voice out there, and it's really neat, so thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. So thank you guys for watching, and be sure to share this video by noon tomorrow. Comment in the comments that you shared. We will do our raffles going forward Saturday at noon, like clockwork, so you guys know exactly when you can watch, and hopefully you're the lucky winner. So thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Have a good day.